Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
I'm Jessica Faust.
We're doing a motivational Monday of sorts here for all of...
I don't know what that was.
Me neither, but...
It's going to stay in.
But we are... I don't even remember what I was saying. We're doing a motivational Monday of sorts.
So, as you're on your writing journey, or any journey in life, you're always going to face a situation where the people who you want or thought would most support you just don't. I remember years ago, a client of mine, a writer, had an experience where she was part of a genre writing group. And when she got her first publication deal, it was in a different genre. And they would not honor her at their monthly first sale ceremony because it was not in the genre that the group was focused on.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's terrible. And she was devastated because these are people that she had gone this path with, and she thought that they would support her, and they didn't.
And we should say, too, that level of support comes in so many different forms, right? Like, it comes in the form of maybe not doing something like that, not uplifting, not, boosting or something like that. But it can also come in the form of maybe some jealousy. It can come in the form of knocking it. It can come in the form of people who just don't understand publishing and writing in general.
Oh, so
and this is a bit like a personal story with it. Like, when I announced Oppie, there were a lot of people in my personal life, maybe don't even understand what I do for a living, right? That just didn't get it. And they were like, well, what does this mean? Or like, and then that it could feel like there's just not that level of support there, right?
For those who don't know, James is a published author.
Yeah, so I have a picture book coming out, and when I announced it, there was a lot of, well, what does that even mean, or what's going on, or maybe even like, oh, congratulations, but not that level of enthusiasm that really understand that it's going to be a book on the shelves. But if you're tuned into publishing and you're tuned into being a writer, all of those steps are huge, right? Like, okay, I'm finally querying my book. That's a big moment, and you might tell a friend or a family member that, and they just don't get it, and like, oh, okay. And that feels like a lack of support or enthusiasm for you.
And it honestly can be. I mean, when I started BookEnds, it was a real mixed bag. I was very lucky in that I was very supported, or mostly supported by my family. And there was certainly, I think, I remember from my parents specifically, who were supportive, but also scared. When you move across the country and then call your parents and say you're quitting your job to start your own business, they are really like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
But we'll support you, but what is wrong with you?
And a lot of that comes from, like, publishing is rooted in uncertainty, frankly.
Yeah.
Everybody in your life, most people in your life want certainty for you. Mm-hmm. And when you sort of embark on this and you're like, I'm going to do it, I know it's going to happen. Some others might just be like, I just don't know.
Yeah. Or are you getting the, oh, what are you writing? I'm writing a name of genre. Oh, well, when are you going to write a real book?
Yeah. And when I announced my picture book, one of my cousins left. And he was like, he left. And my other cousin was like, well, what book have you written? There's just so much. Again, too, it could just be the arts, but there's so much that goes into somebody else understanding what you're doing that it could feel like there's no support.
Well, and I think you're being much kinder than I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I do think it feels like there's no support because people don't understand it. But I also think, frankly, people could just be real assholes. Well, I mean, they just, I remember I was working my first job at Berkeley Publishing. At the time it was Putnam Berkeley. I mean, this is no small publisher, right? like at the time it was the publisher of Tom Clancy. It was and is the publisher of Nora Roberts. And I had a very close family friend take me out to dinner and asked me why I wouldn't want a job in like university publishing or something better. Not to diss university publishing, but
am I right?
and I think in that case it was definitely her idea was she didn't understand what I was doing. So she wanted to steer me into something that she understood, which was academia. But I also think in the case of my client who wasn't supported by her writers group, there is a lot of jealousy that you'll find. And even from your friends and family, sometimes the jealousy comes through the not understanding, but people really want to box each other in. And I think, and I think what we all have to accept is when we embark on something new, even those we love the most might not be supportive, and we can't control that. We can't control their feelings. And I mean, we can get mad about it and upset, but maybe we can also just give them time.
Yeah, and the best thing you can do is just prove them wrong.
Yeah, that's what I always say. It's like I say in sports too. Like if you're mad out there at somebody, don't smack them over the head. Score.
Yeah, just prove them wrong. Get your book on the shelves, and when they see it, they'll understand it. Everybody understands a physical book when they see it, right?
Right. But so what do you do? What do you do if you've told your family and your closest friends and they seem at best lukewarm, which is not what you want? They're not giving you the support you were hoping for. So then, what do you do in that situation? Because you do need support. I mean, this, in everything in life, but also in publishing, it's a long game. So you do need support.
So you find it. And I think that publishing has no shortage of supportive people. From critique groups to conferences.
Well, I think the first place to go for support, if you're not getting it, is the writing community.
Yeah.
And what people are going to say is, well, how do I find people? Whether I'm in New York City or, some small town in the Midwest or in the middle of Alaska, where can I find this support? How do I start? And you're a member of at least one critique group, right? So how did that come about for you?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to do it is you could just Google where you live and Google writers, and you probably for real, you will probably find, if you're writing, you might find an SCBWI. If you're living in, I don't know, Dallas, you might find Dallas Fort Worth writers.
Right.
You might find that these organizations that you have no idea about are already set up and already doing for others what you want to be done for you. So start off with a Google search.
Yeah, and what I would say is if what you find locally is an SCBWI, which is a Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, you have to see the letters in your head as you speak them, because I do. But you're not writing children's, reach out to them anyway. Yeah. Say to them, hey, I found your organization, you're in my area, I don't write children's books, do you have any ideas? They may know of another writers group, or they may say, that's fine, we welcome you in, come.
And even so, there are, on SCBWI, there are things like critique mentor matches. So you can sort of reach out and they might have people that are writing what you're writing. It's a start. It's an entry point into the community that can then branch off into what you're actually writing and what you're looking for.
Yeah, and there's SCBWI, there's RWA, which is Romance Writers of America, MWA, Mystery Writers of America, there's the International Thriller Writers, there's the Science Fiction
Association, which is SFWA.
Yeah, there's the Horror Writers.
Yes.
And did I miss anything? I don't think I did, but that's a start. All of those organizations you can Google. They probably all have resources available on the website, and that would be a start. Local library. Call your local library, a local community center.
Any local bookstores might have something.
Yes.
Like that.
Yep, those are great places too, because oftentimes they will host the writer groups.
Yeah. The other most, first of all, free and most abundant wealth of, writerly connection is online. You can get on, Twitter has a huge writer community. It's where I found all of my critique groups.
Oh, really?
All of my critique partners came through Twitter. And then, things sort of grow organically. You meet one person and they're in a group and they invite you to their group. Or you meet one person and then they meet another person and you form a group. So I would say if you are looking for the connection point, you're looking, and simultaneously the information, that's on Twitter is abundant. Start there. Start in people's mentions on Twitter and reach out to them like that. Another point where you're sitting right now on YouTube is start in the comments. We are more than happy for our comments to become connection for others.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But yeah, so there's definitely a community out there. You don't need to write alone, and you shouldn't write or really do anything without support. And if those closest to you aren't giving their support, then it's time for you to reach out and find somebody who will. And in many ways, that's maybe those people are helping you out by giving you the kick in the pants to take those next steps that you might not otherwise if they were the ones who were sitting there boosting you up at home.
Right. So if you cannot find support, it's because you're not looking hard enough in the right spots. That's true. I think that's the final line, that there is support out there. There are people that want your positive feedback and are willing to give you positive feedback. You just have to find them, and they're at your fingertips, literally. So get online, find your critique partners, find your group of writer friends that will give you that kick in the pants. And we hope to see your queries in our inbox when they're ready.
Definitely, and good luck.